But indeed, of course, we'll get into it here. Of course, this is, or yes, welcome back to the
Oh,
Talk
hold
Past
on, hold
Pod.
on,
Touche,
hold on.
touche. Woo!
Sorry. Okay, let me get my push to talk started before we
Mhm.
get going on anything.
Okay.
I feel like it helps, especially with the ambient noise I usually end up happening.
No worries. People like ambient music now. You can do like the 10-hour ambient noise on
I mean,
YouTube or
I do
something.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I do when I do art. Put some ambient music and go to town. Some Vesky, Vesky. In any case, though, welcome back to the Talk Past Podcast. I, of course, am the NC, no relation to the CW, uh, the occasional host, and of course, our co host.
'Tis I, the Frenchiest fry, Red Iron Riot, aka the War Queen, here and ready to be weird and talk about my fun medieval things.
All right. And then, of course, we got some new parameters with our recording bot, so things go weird. It's just a regular episode. As I, of course, at 34, am hitting puberty. But this episode will be about just in general medieval gaming from games that maybe we grew up with, ones that we are playing, ones that we want to play, or things that have elements of that kind of geared us toward that sort of perhaps aesthetic. I
Yep.
know specifically with me, I maybe played all of like one medieval game in history growing up. But in any case, shall we start with ones that we kind of grew up with? Yourself first.
Oh, I mean, I've talked about it before, and I'll talk about it a lot. Stronghold just always was that game. I believe it's Stronghold and the sequel Stronghold Crusader, developed by Firefly Studios and published in 2001.
Oof. 2001,
2001.
30 years ago.
Oh,
Well, not
trying
really
to sit
30,
here.
but you know what I mean. Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, it's about to be 30. No, it's about to be something else. Anyway, we had 2011, 2021. Tomorrow it's going to be 2031.
Wait. No. You take
Yeah.
that back right now.
Uh, yeah, for me, I never really played a medieval specific game growing up. If I did, I may have just forgotten. But I've played stuff like, Assassin's Creed, which is a little bit the original one, which is before the medieval period ish, right?
I mean,
I think it's kind of into going into before ish.
so I wouldn't be able to tell you. I'm not familiar with the Assassin's Creed isn't my series, I guess is the
No,
term.
same. I played the first one and then Valhalla. So that's I'm looking it up real quick. Timeline, just to see. Because it's based, of course, in more of the religious time frame of
The
of course,
Renaissance.
no, 1191 AD. So medieval.
Ooh, okay, different. I know they've got a lot of Assassin's Creed games that are going off all over the place,
Yeah.
though.
Bloodlines is 1191. Um, they don't list well. Oh, there it is. Valhalla, 872 to 878. Although it's a little bit more. Uh, Assassin's Creed is a bit more like what mainstream wants medieval period to be like, or whatever they're doing. It's whatever the mainstream thinks it is. Kind of like Jurassic Park and dinosaurs. But I think that's the only thing growing up. But even then, I don't even remember when that was released. But otherwise, you had um, games like Mortal Kombat, which, although technically isn't set in the medieval period, when was it released? Like 95? Uh, Technically, sort of the whole storyline of Mortal Kombat sort of begins at 500 years early would have been 1495, the 15th century, which is kind of the tail
Wow.
end of medieval. Um, they sort of explore that more as you go along with the games, believe it or not. But for me, growing up, it would have been Chrono Cross and Final Fantasy, which aren't necessarily medieval games, more as I think inspired by.
Yeah. I think out of everybody, I think maybe Final Fantasy 9 would be the one that's most like medievalish, and even then it's more
Yeah,
like Renaissance.
yeah, very Renaissance. Same thing I would say with Chrono Cross. Although Chrono Cross, even though it's in its own sort of alternate Earth, is set in I think what the 11th century. So that is totally an appropriate game to play on the channel. Just putting that out there.
That is amazing. I want to do that. Let's
Mm.
do it.
That's my favorite game too of all time is Chrono
Y
Cross.
you know, I've never actually played Chrono Cross or anything, I'm just familiar with some of the music.
Yeah,
I know there's,
me
like, time
too.
travel, kind of,
Mhm.
I think?
So I've never so I've played Chrono Trigger after the fact, but only up to a certain point. Up to a certain point, uh, the game got stuck on me, so I just kind of was like, whatever. But Chrono Cross, of which I've never finished, by the way, because it's such a massive game. Remember the era of like 4 disc games?
Oh,
And
yeah, for sure.
you played for like an hour and a half, and then you had to switch to disc 2 and then disc 3, etc., etc. So back in the day, I never really finished Chrono Cross, but of course, you go back and watch it nowadays, and I am playing it on PS5. Jeez, I had a cookie and water, so my voice is a little cookied. Um,
Okay,
so
okay, okay, wait a second. What is up with the chocolate milk thing? You were not 2 years chocolate milk
oh
sober.
yes, so for those listening, and I don't mind adding some personal stuff here and there on the channel. I think we should do that. It's fun. Um, I am very well known for my addiction for chocolate milk to everybody that we do reenactment with. Uh, it's not even something
Heads up, you kinda cut out
that I
there.
like. Whoop, whoop. Just let me know when I'm back and ready.
Yeah, you're back now.
Ram, Barhabal Owl. Um, every now and then I'll put this on the channel so people understand why we do some cuts here. It'll cut out every now and then, or we'll do some personal conversation that maybe shouldn't be on here. But this one's fine. So I am known for being like a chocolate milk addict and being a connoisseur of sorts of chocolate milk. But um, when I moved up here from, of course, Florida back in 2020, uh, I don't know if it was like I don't know when it was in 2020, but whatever. Um, of course, when I stopped in North Carolina to a hotel night, uh, I mean, I was kind of hungry. I wasn't really hungry. For me, uh, chocolate milk kind of helped sate hunger, even though it's like 10,000 calories a sip. Uh, but apparently up north here, you can't get chocolate milk at all. All of it up here is 2% chocolate milk. So it tastes like
Oh, no.
piss and vinegar. And immediately I'm just like, what the hell is this crap? And I bought like 3 bottles of chocolate milk to have at the hotel. And I'm just like, that's a heartbreak. One for the money, but two for the show, and then three now I gotta go somewhere that doesn't sell chocolate milk. So I came up here and I'm like, I gotta find chocolate milk. Like I can't go without chocolate milk. I have an addiction. This is like the nectar of the gods, right? This is the chocolatey ambrosia of the cows. It's utterly delicious. And I had to go to 2 actual farms up here, which isn't hard. I live in a rural area where it's mostly a farming community, so farms are like 5 minutes away from me. There's at least 3 of them. There's horse ranches, stuff like that. You have to go like an hour to get to a real city like Boston,
Wow.
Salem. Uh, Salem's actually about 45 minutes away from me, and I'll add later. Kind of side note because I do want to mention it because it's I don't know if we talked about it, but it's kind of cool. But anywho, um, going to two separate actual farms that sell whole milk chocolate milk because no other chocolate milk is real chocolate milk. Uh, Even that tastes weird. It just kind of has this weird like metallic taste to it, and I'm like, what is this crap? What is this
Oh
fake
no.
fake chocolate milk? Did you like make whole milk and then just put like Nestle chocolate in there? Like, what's going on here? So, because of that, I've just been literally for two and maybe what 2.5 years now, completely sober from chocolate milk. Uh, so it's pretty sad, but also as literally as soon as I stopped drinking chocolate milk, I lost like 15 pounds because
That's
I was drinking like 3 gallons a week of chocolate milk.
bro.
It was bad. I was like, "Oh, you shouldn't drink soda because you'll gain weight, and that's not good for you, drinking soda," as I chug gallons of chocolate milk a day.
And not just chocolate milk, apparently chocolate whole milk, which I mean,
Yes. Now granted, whole milk is better for you. Um, I'm not an expert, I'm not a nutritionist, but as I understand it, which may be wrong, whole milk is better for you because it's legit, right? But if you go fat-free or skim or like 2% milk, what I've heard, and I could be wrong, is that they add something to the milk to supplement the fact that it doesn't taste like milk, like sugar. So they would add sugar or something like that. And to
weird.
me, it's like, eh, I'd rather, because if you're losing weight, it's not about what you eat per se. You know, you can lose weight on a Twinkie diet. Losing weight is all about calories. It's eating less calories than you're
It's also
burning.
about activity more than
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you can I don't know. Maybe we'll go over like medieval diets because they were fit AF. But um, yeah,
Yeah,
diet is all calorie. As soon as I cut those massive calories of chocolate milk, I lost 15 pounds. I went from 170 to 130, and now I'm 144. So,
nice.
uh, but
One day
again,
I'll quit the Mountain Dew. Because
yeah.
today is not that day.
Well, I mean, even still, it's all about calories. So, I have my healthy foods and my cakes. I mentioned I had a cookie, so uh, I have a sweet tooth, and that cannot
You
be
you
safe.
and me both, my man.
Yeah, I like making food, but in any case, we'll talk about that in another time. But yeah, so uh, for me, like Chrono Cross, which is about sort of interdimensional travel and how your actions sort of might affect another dimension. But it's definitely sort of a renaissance modern game aesthetically, but there are a ton of medieval references and aesthetics in it, characters, if you will. There's characters like Glenn, of whom is one of the best characters in the game, uh, practically, who's like a maybe Renaissance to sort of 15th, 16th century knight. Um, there's Pierre, of whom is just you don't need to touch or deal with Pierre, but he's definitely Renaissance. But there are the other characters that draw from like medieval folklore, and there's a lot of elements of that nature. It's interesting how games that aren't medieval but take heavily from it implement it. Like Mortal Kombat is more weapons and mild aesthetic, mild I would say. Um, Final Fantasy It changes game per game. Isn't the new one coming out a medieval game though? Because it's all about like knights and they're going to like war
I
and stuff.
wouldn't be able to tell you. Final Fantasy goes all over the place, like medieval-wise,
Yeah,
medieval, steampunk, super futuristic, etc., etc.
I know they've been doing like this sort of Renaissance medieval from the SNES games all the way up to like Final Fantasy 9,
I guess it's a good way to
and
put it.
and then 10 was like kind of a step up into sort of that modern futuristic but still medieval style. Uh, but then Final Fantasy 11,
If anything, I would say 10 was like a weird kind of solar punk.
yeah, yeah, 10 is my favorite. 10 is the first. No, 9's the first one I played, but 10 is the first one I played and actually finished and got into their story and engaged with. So 10's my favorite. If they were going to make a movie out
Neat.
of it, it should have been 10. I've never played 7. At this point, I'm afraid to. Um, but
It's a bit. Somebody's gonna hear this and just lose their minds. But to me, seven's kind of overblown.
yeah, I'd love to play it. I'll probably play the remake just
I've heard
because
good
it's
things about
available.
the remake.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, 11 was kind of back into the Renaissance medieval era with the bunny woman, and that one just kind of it was interesting, but it was sort of detached, right? And then four, 13 was kind of even more detached, but that was going into that sort of futuristic thing. 13 and 14. I'm gonna 13, 14. 14 is the
I'm gonna level with you. I haven't played any Final Fantasy games past 10, past 9
yeah,
even.
no,
So
basically same here.
this
Same
is
here.
not my rodeo.
Yeah, no, same here. I played a little bit of 11, a little bit of what was 11? Yeah, 11. I don't know. It was an MMO. One of those is an MMO. I played up to 13.
14 is the MMO.
14 is the MMO. Yeah. So I
The
played up to
critically
13.
acclaimed MMO with the award-winning expansion pack.
I still gotta play that because I want to play it. But yeah, that's about. I dabbled pretty much from 11 on, but otherwise I think 10's the best. But in terms of medieval, um, I like that they still use swords, daggers, axes, pole arms. There's still a lot of medieval elements drawn out of history into even just Final Fantasy X. Um, like, and the name of their species kind of isn't coming to me, but you remember Kamari, the
Yeah.
blue lion furry? Um, I like to think that they were based off of the Norse, the Scandinavians. I'm not 100%. I'd have to look it up,
Yeah.
but
I
give or
haven't seen
take.
enough of them to tell you for sure, but I don't see a lot of. I can't agree that I see a lot of that in Kamari's design.
Kamara's design, no, but I don't know. I'm definitely reaching for straws here, but at least when I was growing up, that's kind of what I
Hey,
compared it
hey,
to.
hey! If you like those Lion Man straws, you reach for
Oof,
those Lion Man straws.
I'm good. I'm good. Uh, my jam for at least Final Fantasy X was the Guado,
No
like
idea what that is. You gotta explain that.
Maester Seymour.
Okay, sorry about that. So okay, back to the issue. Weren't the Seymour was like a plant person, wasn't he, or something? That's the
No,
only
no,
thing I know about him.
Maester Seymour was a hybrid um, of two species, the Humes or human. I like Hume. I like that word too. That's. I wanted to take that on and how to describe people. But anyhow, human. His mother was human, and his father was a Guado. The Guado to me are kind of like elves, kind of like sort of the Final Fantasy version of elves. You remember where you get the summon Shiva in Guado Salam.
Oh,
Um,
again, I haven't played Final Fantasy X.
oh, touche, touche. Well, they're kind of like plant elves, I guess, in their design. uh, but they're a bit. I don't know. I don't know. They come across. There's a lot of sort of cultural references in Final Fantasy X, like the Abed remind me of like Russia. The Guado are kind of, I don't know what they remind me of. Like Kamari's people remind me of the Norse. Whether that's reaching for straws, I don't know. But maybe it's just because of where they are. Um, just stuff like that. But anywho, uh, getting off of Final Fantasy, of course. Uh, is there anything like that you've played that kind of has you've been drawn to or helped draw you to certain elements of medieval aspect?
The only game that really comes to mind like that is do you ever play Soul Blade? Which it's
Soulblade?
the prequel fighting game to the Soul Calibur series.
No, but I've played Soul Calibur 4.
Uh, God, when Soul Blade first came out, I'm pretty sure it was more just like a, hey, we know Mortal Kombat's popular. Let's do a fighting game with weapons. And then the Soul Calibur series turned out like it did, and my heart was broken. But that's life
Oh
for you.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember like Samurai Showdown on the Sega Genesis days and stuff like that. But I'm very much a Mortal Kombat fanboy. I've dipped a toe into Soul Calibur 4 and I enjoyed it, but at least for me, and don't hang me, but I like the aesthetic and the story of Mortal Kombat more than any of the other fighting games. I've never played Tekken. I At this point I don't feel like I ever will and don't need to. I
All
like
right, so
Soul
real
Calibur.
quick,
Yeah.
the game
Anyway,
itself, the first game is Soul Edge, not Soul Blade. I always get it mixed up. Um, but it's a fighting game developed by Namco that was released in 1996. Oh no, it was the PlayStation version was renamed Soul Blade North America. Mother.
interesting.
Oh, what was that? Sorry, I needed to open a jar.
Oh, there you go. Sometimes you just have to get a jar.
um,
Um,
but the
go ahead.
thing is, it's the where it's kind of set up in like Renaissance era.
Okay.
There's especially, but there's like some weird bits going on with it. That's like we wanted to do this era, but we also wanted to do these dudes here, so they're just here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so weird, but it's fun. And my boy Siegfried, just my
Mhm.
boy, he
Yeah.
made some bad choices.
I played the one that had Yoda and Darth Vader in it.
I can't
Um,
believe it. Like I know they started. I can understand why they started doing it. It's like like it was PlayStation's version of Super Smash basically, but it just always
yeah.
made me laugh,
Yeah.
especially when they got Link.
Mortal Kombat does that too, though. They have guests and they like to try to justify them as well. This is the horror pack, and you got Freddy and Jason and Leatherface, or this is the this pack, or the '80s action pack with Terminator and RoboCop and Joker. Um, but I'm just like, if you're gonna do it, give me Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Xena.
Did you know that there was a Xena fighting game on the Nintendo 64?
No, because I didn't realize Xena existed until like after I watched Buffy.
There is a Xena fighting game on the Nintendo 64. It's beautiful.
Hmm.
It's awful, but it's beautiful.
I know we're not mentioning this because it's not a really big game that I play, but League of Legends, very popular, obviously, very frustrating game, obviously. Uh, Also draws a lot of medieval inspiration. Um, I don't know if I'd play that here on the channel, but have you ever played any of those sort of like
I have
stream
not
things
played
people
League
stream?
of Legends. I have played Hearthstone, which is basically the same thing with
Yeah,
Warcraft again. But I mean, I guess you could say Warcraft itself is also a very medieval inspired game.
yeah. I played World of Warcraft, but Blizzard's kind of like,
I miss World of Warcraft.
yeah, no. I'm
Sad, sad, sad noises.
Yeah, I mean, it was good for what it was, and when I played it, this is well before Pandora or the Panda Bear one.
Mists of Pandaria.
Yeah, uh, and I enjoyed it. I wish I think I'm like everybody, scouring these Kickstarters for the perfect MMO, and I would love to make the perfect MMO or what I think is, but I think I don't know, it's very difficult finding these games that pander to our aesthetic, but also in terms of gameplay and what you expect out of it and what you want out of
Mhm.
it. Like, and obviously we're going to discuss the channel game at the tail end of the video. But think of things like the MMOs like Silk Road and Final Fantasy 14 and World of Warcraft and others that I've made. RuneScape. I played RuneScape briefly on the channel, but it's apparently a very late Renaissance game. So I'm like, oh, never mind. Um, which I will go ahead and I'm gonna play games on the channel again. Uh,
Cool, cool.
I might stream my face on them
Yeah, I'm still waffling on that myself. Um, have you ever heard of Ultima
as opposed to
Online?
yes, but I've not played it.
So I only know Ultima Online from being one of the earliest MMOs out there.
Mhm.
I understand there's a fun YouTube video going around about, or that's kind of well known for talking about its world system or something, I
Okay.
believe.
Okay.
And apparently it was also a series of kind of RPG games, I guess. I'm not entirely sure.
Mm. I know of it. I've done reading about it that I've now since forgotten, but I have never played it. But I also notice a lot of these medieval games or quote unquote are really just kind of taking from either Renaissance or the Tudor era. Now, Tudor era, correct me if I'm wrong, is like 13, 1400s, which I know is
Uh
14, 1500s Tudor era. Because that's what of course, the houses that you would see, 1485 to 1603. So 15, 16, 17th century. Um, that's, with the white wattle and daub houses with the
mhm.
brick and not the brick, sorry, the wood and the whitewash, etc. And that's what you see in like RuneScape. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, Tudor era, figure it out. But then there's like a
Mm.
Renaissance era telescope, and I'm like, what is this? But even like regular medieval games take from the Tudor era and like medieval dynasty. We'll get into current medieval games then as well. Um, I will play medieval dynasty in the channel because it is a proper medieval game, but it's also seems like a Tudor era game. And to me, that's just kind of like, whoa, way too late for me at least. Everybody's like loves the knights and the uh, royal courts and this and that, but I'm very much a
You're early. You
stone
like the
castles, Mont and Bailey's,
yeah.
Viking raids.
Maybe
Um,
that's what it is because the Tudor period's kind of that kind of separation between, the early medieval period and the later kind of stuff. It's
Renaissance,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's just that transition period from knights to cannons and gunpowder.
Yes. So I just watched forgive me, obviously I'm not gonna, well, actually I can mention the channel because we're recording, we are on the internet. I just discovered a new channel of someone older chap who works. I think he works for a castle. I don't know. I just discovered him, but his channel is the History Squad. He reminds me of like the old 90s, early 2000s versions of like History Channel medieval uh documentaries.
Oh,
And
neat.
so the History Squad, it's just some guy who seems to do reenactment like us. I don't know, but it looks like he works for a castle. Uh but I just watched a a video of his called "Secrets of a Medieval Castle" at Chepstow Castle, and he just takes you through the entire castle, goes through some personal stories, some stories about the castle that you wouldn't know otherwise, and really, really fascinating video. Everyone should absolutely check it out. It is a late medieval uh, thing, though, so not really my forte. But there were interesting moments where he would go over and point out like musket holes that were added to the castle as time went on and got into like civil war of I think it's in Wales. Kind of there's a river. One side is England, one side is Wales, I believe. Don't quote me. The River Wye. The River Wye. Yes. Um, incredible video, incredible individual. It's like finding
Oh, neat.
uh,
We'll have to talk
modern
about it.
modern history TV with Mr. Kingsley, OBE. But definitely check it out. But it's definitely late medieval, so it's more like knights, royal court, the high medieval castles and stuff like that. But he went over like machiculations and little niche stuff about a medieval castle that you wouldn't know if you just took a vacation to see a castle. And I think that's cool. Um, it's a lot of niche stuff that we don't get out of the early age, from Viking and Iron Age to maybe the Tudor era, going into that, because of course the Romans had their structures, and then the Saxons and subsequent people after that just kind of built over it, and then all of that got turned down. So all of these like fine, minute, niche details of castles just kind of disappear. And so it's nice to have someone kind of just point that out specifically, rather than be like, "This is a castle. This is
You
the
get like
Don John."
you get a nod to, yeah, this is a castle. Here's some basics about it, and then we're
Hmm.
back on to more interesting things.
Yeah, and kind of brings you back to the concept of what the life was like for them, and kind of medieval dynasty gets into that as well. Sort of what life is like for a medieval peasant. Um, I wish it was a little more, but it's a chill game. It's kind of like Minecraft for like medieval people.
Neat. Like, I know there's
Um,
been a lot of Rust likes that have been coming out that are medieval themed. They look pretty fun. RimWorld, are you familiar with RimWorld at
no,
all?
I've heard of it.
RimWorld
No.
is a real fun game that you can basically make medieval. You don't have to go. You really don't have to go to the space to the industrial stuff if you really don't want to. They make
Hmm.
mods for that stuff.
Yeah, and of course I don't want to forget the games that we've played or you've played. Mountain Blade. Um,
Mountain Blade, my beloved.
I've completely forgotten whatever the heck name of the game that I've been trying to play, and I will play for the channel. That
Crusader Kings 3.
yes, sure. Um, I think that's it. Okay. Sure, something like that. I guess. I don't know. One of those. It's a one where it's Saxon age, so it could be Vikings and Saxons and other people that were mucking around then. But the gameplay is a strategy based game, kind of like Risk, but the controls are a little ugh. So it's kind of like a learning curve, and I'm just like, just send me back to Lord of the Rings, I guess. Which we still need to do an episode on Lord of the Rings.
Oof, we do, I guess.
But let's get into sort of what do you want out of a game set in an authentic medieval period, whether it's
Ooh.
post-Roman to, we'll say, Tudor era. What what
Now,
what do you specifically want out of a medieval game?
are we talking gameplay, style, or both?
Everything.
Okay, okay. Like what I want, if like what I look for in a game or a game that I
Yes,
would like.
both.
What I look for in a game is the ability to. This is one of the reasons I enjoy Mountain Blade so much. is to have like a fun medieval combat experience. I had that a little bit on Chivalry, which is another medieval fighting game.
Mhm.
Like we talked a little bit about Chivalry too, and I really still
Yeah.
want to look into it. Um, I like authentic fighting experiences with an authentic look. Is what I'd
Okay.
like for a
Um,
game. I would love to have like a jousting game. That would be so cool.
there are some jousting games. Now, I do want to also,
Mm.
before we even go forward, For Honor, I won't delve into it. I'll just reference it because I know people are going to be like, "Well, For Honor." So yes, there is a jousting game that comes to mind. Um, it is, I believe, it is on a mobile app game. Let me try to find it here. Jousting games, mobile. It keeps coming up with a Kickstarter scam game, but Joust Legend maybe, or Game Loft, Rival Knights. So there's let me actually just pull up my phone. There is an app game where you are a joust knight. You can pick various armors, your lance, horse, etc. Um, and it's literally just jousting. That is all it is. And I think you do get to do the joust games. Is that what you mean as well? Or just literally just man on man jousting? Or woman on woman, man on man, woman, whatever.
I just want a straight one-on-one jousting game. Like this is all you're doing. You're decorating a knight. You're picking. You're breeding horses. It's all about jousting.
Okay.
That's
So
all I
yeah,
want.
jousting knights. No, it isn't. Sorry. Um, I literally just clicked on it. Joust Legend. I've played. It's pretty good. It is a pay to play in the sense that you actually have to buy it. $2.99. Um, but it's actually a pretty good game. Um, it allows you to just have that joust experience. It is a mobile game though, so
Mm.
take that for what it is. I can play mobile games on my PC, but maybe some people don't have that kind of access. Um, I don't know if it's the game that I played though, but I think so. To my knowledge, you can customize your kit and you just joust. That's it. You joust. High medieval jousting. But yeah, no, that would be cool. Maybe a very small, focused, specific game based on medieval knights in a king's tourney, and the whole thing is just jousting. The joust competition, like the ones maybe
Yeah.
better than what we see in our reenactment. But I think that'd be interesting. Maybe that would be something to do for the channel as well, as a very small scale game, a historically accurate jousting game. I'll write
I,
that down.
I'd think it'd be cool.
I mean, I think a lot of people would love that, especially if it was accurate. And considering being a small scale game where the whole point is just to joust, uh, you can be more customization oriented. I think that would be cool too. I like customization stuff. Like what if you had a knight and you could kind of have RPG elements of I don't know, customizing his armor to color and armor types like Gothic era, or maybe have different eras of knight armor.
Oh man.
Go from like squire to knight. I think that would be cool if it was a nice small scale game. Um,
Yeah.
maybe we will do that. Anyone listening, you don't do that because we'll probably do that. Uh, if you do it, add some weird like Renaissance crap to it, so people know it's a generic medieval game, and we'll do the historically accurate one. Although I'll discuss what I want in a game, but the one that I'm working on, uh, the project title was called "Romancing the Night," as in Knight, even though that title has nothing to do with the story, nothing to do with the era. But when I was writing the knight errant scripts for the channel for the live action filming, once I can get back to that, uh, I wanted to delve into what is the sort of what we do, joust, with the reenactment jousting and the sort of high medieval king's tourney stuff. What is the equivalent, or how can you derive that from the Viking Age, the Iron Age, and what would be the equivalent to a knight errant in the Iron Age? And that's kind of what the Knight Errant series is about.
Huh.
Is an Iron Age sort of king's tourney knight who would be your typical jousting knight, as well as the romance of the knight, because the knight stories were romancing the knight,
You know
quote
what would
unquote.
be really fun? You know what could be really fun?
Mm.
A dating game that kind of like a medieval dating game that uses chivalry.
Oof. Actual
No,
chivalry or like the modern version?
I guess the kind of the chivalric idea, like King Arthur kind of vibes.
Okay, so sort of like a Renaissance chivalry. Um,
Yeah. Oh man, write that down. We're gonna do that. Nobody else do that.
okay, so a dating game, a medieval dating game.
Yes. I I don't I think that would be really cool. That could be pretty fun.
We'll just write down high medieval.
You
Oh,
know it.
of course, we're not going to use Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, maybe Adam Driver, but yeah, we're not gonna. We wouldn't do that movie. I think that's the wrong version of a dating game. Um, I've already forgotten the title of that movie. The one with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Hello?
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Wrong thing.
no worries.
The
Uh,
Last Duel. Yes,
yeah,
we don't need any more of that.
yeah. No, thank you. I'm good. I bought The Northman. I don't feel the need to buy The Last Tool unless I'm
Ooh, man.
depraved or
That's a
deprived
burn.
of the flu. Um, yeah, that would be so interesting doing like a like dating game is kind of cheeky, right? Like obviously, let's see, I don't know. How far do you go?
I mean, it could be.
Do you go like Dragon Age? Do you go like Cyberpunk 2077?
No.
Or you do like modest?
No, this would just be like. Uh, don't judge me for saying this. Just it'd be like Dream Daddy.
I don't know what Dream Daddy is.
Really?
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Look it up. Look it up, and please
Am I
tell me
gonna
your
see
thoughts
some
on
weird
this.
things if I look up Dream
No.
Daddy?
Maybe. Don't look in the images.
That's what I'm
Just
looking
look
at.
for Dream. Just look up Dream Daddy game.
Well, the images coming up are just game images, so there's no like dads, dad bods, and stuff like that. I guess you would say I have a dad bod, even though I'm 144, and even when I'm 130, I have like a little Polly Pocket going on. Um, that's strange. That's I'm not gonna play it, but I know where you're getting at. Uh, I don't think I've ever played a dating simulator. Never, never felt the need, but I think it would
That's
be
fair.
interesting to do one and try to be a little bit more social in terms of
No, just a dating game that uses the chivalric ideals of love.
yeah. You gotta woo, and you gotta
You gotta throw some woo.
you gotta go woo woo woo. You know it. You
You
gotta go.
gotta, is your knight a smart knight? Can you compose poetry?
Is he going off to the Crusades? Is he French?
Is he Lover's voice French?
Hmm. Je m'appelle l'ennemi. That's horrible. Horrible lack of French. What I like in a medieval game and want to see, what I like is historical accuracy. Because in this era of misinformation, I'm really tired of misinformation. I'm tired of like the mainstream like latching onto the wrong idea and just spreading it like wildfire, like the TV show Vikings or Jurassic Park or you like anything that movies latch onto that is like not even the idea of what the original concept is, and then suddenly everybody thinks that's what it is. Like I like seeing, even if it's just slight bits of it, I like seeing historical accuracy. Um, I like specific time periods. I don't like sort of I do and I don't like the sort of generic medieval thing, like World of Warcraft or D&D would be a generic medieval.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, Gotta put D&D in there. Um, Although I like that, at this point, I'm kinda like, I wanna see, like, a specific time frame. I wanna be like, "This is the cutoff period," right? Like, this is
Mhm.
your Assassin's Creed Valhalla cutoff period of, yes, this is absolutely the Iron Age. Or RuneScape with their telescope being like, "Yes, this is exactly the year that this game takes place." Not, although I do like it, and of course the series that we do on the channel will be kind of generic medieval, but set specifically Iron Age. Is I don't like, oh, you're gonna see Iron Age mixed with Roman, mixed with Renaissance, mixed with Tudor era, and it's like, where am I? Is this like a meme game? Um, what I want to see is actually what I like seeing is also landscape. Like even though Assassin's Creed is offensively wrong and stereotypical about their
Uh,
Scandinavians and Saxons and stuff, like disrespectfully so. I love wandering around in the game, right? I love doing like minutia stuff. I love gameplay more than story sometimes. Like I think I've mentioned I like to skip story and then watch it after. So I like games that let you roam. I like games that immerse you in the environment, no matter where it is or what time frame. Uh, but what I'd like to see is like a strict historical accurate game, uh,
mhm.
but a game that lets people know that you can be correct or as historically adequate as possible on things that maybe you don't know, but it's within reason. Uh, but yet still provide a beautiful environment in terms of the art style, whether it's realistic or curated, as well as a beautifully written and either written like text on the screen or voice acted, uh, beautifully portrayed story. That I think is a lot of people growing up. We all wanted realistic graphics, but now I think people want story over
Yeah.
substance. And although the game that I'm working on for the channel is realistic graphics, just by the default base that I can do mega scans and scan 3D people into it, and we got MetaHuman. I'd like to sort of bring it to life. Uh, I do like curated games, but I think I want a game that
Oop, you cut out there.
doesn't back. Just let me know when I'm back.
You're back.
Yeah, I don't want a game that romanticizes or fantasizes a concept so much as puts you in the real setting, whether it's curated or realistic. Like we say, the mud filter, but you could also be beautiful and artistic, you know, and still be real and still be true to whatever you're doing, and focuses more on the story, because if you tell a beautiful story that engages and have an immersive world that doesn't matter whether it's generic, conceptualized, or realistic to whatever concept you're doing is really what people want.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want people to know that you can be like the Northmen, right? Strictly set in the Iron Age, but tell a beautiful story, unlike the Northmen, the, the movie. Um, oof. I still don't know why they chose Lion King, but whatever. Um,
Hamlet.
yeah, like it is a saga story, like it is legit the saga story, but all the same, like you could have done anything. But anywho, um, so that's cool ideas, jousting, a medieval dating simulator.
Listen,
Um,
I swear that's something people would enjoy, especially if
I,
it's really
I
pretty.
I think so too. I think if it was historically accurate, I think it'd be interesting. I think if well, where would it take place?
So here's the rub. I would say a historically accurate one would be okay, but I mean, we're gonna go crazy high Arthurian fantasy with this, alright? There's gonna be shining armor, there's gonna be pretty dresses, it's gonna be hog wild.
Talking animal people
No.
and trees.
No.
No green men and
Not that great, not that wild.
okay. You're not gonna be dating the green man or dating uh, uh a squirrel after Merlin turns you into a squirrel to battle Madam Mim.
So the Green Man wouldn't be in it, but the story of the Green
The
Man would
story.
be
Ooh,
the
would we allow fair, equal time for both men, women, and people of other identities?
yes, of course.
Because I mean, women, ladies awaiting. You could tell their story.
Oh, that would
Knights,
be fun.
you can tell their. What about if you're a peasant?
Oh, maybe if the nightly game if the people like the nightly one, then we'll do a peasant one,
Well, like Arthur.
or like a peasant character. There could be. Ooh.
Yeah,
Oh, this is awful.
kind of like
I'm
what
ruined.
is it? The Last Night. Last Night is that the movie? Knight's Tale.
Yeah. Knight's Tale kind of vibe,
Yeah, yeah. With
except much more elegant.
elegant, eloquent.
Why not both?
maybe less Harley Davidson and naked Alan Tudyk.
I
We'll
mean,
have just
no. Alan Tudyk never got naked. It was Paul Bettany.
oh, okay.
That was Bettany, but we got.
I don't know. Alan Tudyk, Paul Bettany, Benedict Cumberbatch. They're all the same to me. Um, what what was the one in Firefly? Was that Alan Tudyk?
Yeah, Alan Tudyk was in Firefly.
Oh, well, he's a disgrace then. Anyway, moving forward. Although he's good in Rogue One. So let's then transition.
I need you to chill there. Firefly was okay. Okay,
That's a whole rabbit hole with
that's
me.
a can of worms. I don't think you want to open, my friend.
That is an absolute can of worms. Basically, just the gist is I found out I love Buffy. That's it. I love Buffy. Anything else by Joss Whedon is a no. But you don't find that out until you watch everything. So give everything equal time. Give it a chance. But anywho, let's go into now. Of course, we have to have references when you're doing the jousting game to A Knight's Tale. But
Of course.
of course. So we'll go into, of course, the announcement of. I've mentioned it scant here and there, and very slowly because I'm only one person and I'm learning, but very slowly, and it's probably going to take like 2, 3. It's going to take 5 years if I do it by myself. But if eventually when I do the Kickstarter we actually get the funding,
Yeah.
and obviously I'm going to hire a team of people know what they're doing programming wise
Do
to
kind of
do
what
that.
Concerned Ape of Stardew Valley did.
Sure, sure. I've never played Stardew Valley. Um,
What? That's surprising. I think it's the kind of game I think you would enjoy.
well,
But
well,
basically, what happened is Eric Barone, aka Concerned Ape, basically created Stardew Valley by himself. But eventually partnered with a company after when he finally released it to help him put the final bit of polish on it.
mhm. Not to be confused with Bored Apes. There will be
Nope,
no
nope, 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 nope,
NFTs here.
nope, yep, nope. Never here, never from here. If anybody tries,
Non-fungus
it's a scam.
non-fungus tomatoes. So, uh, um, so yeah, so I'm very very slowly doing this myself at the moment. Obviously, once I get a better phone and basically phone, I can 3D scan mega scans. I'm in an area that has the same kind of stuff as Scandinavia, as England itself. I'm in New England, if you will. Um, so I plan on actually putting in mega scans customized stuff, so not just
Oh,
grabbing
cool.
stuff off Quixel, although that those assets are beautiful as well. Um, Scanning us into the game, those of us that do our show that want to be in the game,
Hmm.
obviously from voice acting, physically being in it, doing mocap and stuff like that. We'll all do that, and we all have something that we do that's artistic, from digital art to acting to actual medieval combat,
Hmm.
jousting, so on and so forth, that we can provide to the game, as well as we have historians in our group. Although I would like to hire two historians that are actual archaeologists,
Oh yeah,
uh,
it's always good to have some good, the right folks on your side.
and people like, um God, I swear I'm intelligent, but when I'm thinking about it
I don't know,
and
bro.
actually
That's pretty sus.
speaking about it, it never comes to my mind. But this individual, someone like this individual, uh,
Did you just breathe there for a second, bud?
Jackson Crawford. So Jackson Crawford does historical Scandinavian old Viking runes and language, younger Futhark and such. I would need to hire someone that does that, as well as with Old English, because although we can do it ourselves, uh, that's basically Googling. And if you're doing a game and you're going all in, you should just. I know where my strengths are and my weaknesses, and I can
Hmm.
tell you right now, I do not know the difference between younger and older Futhark. I do not know the difference between Old English and Old Norse. So I will, of course, once months down the line we do a Kickstarter, some of that money is going into actual historians,
Yeah, yeah,
so that
yeah.
people know that this game will be historically accurate, if not historically adequate. But also,
That's a good
there's no
term. I think that
carefully
needs to
for it.
be a term that's thing. It's not historically accurate, but it's historically adequate.
Yes, yes. I got that from a causetuber. My apologies for getting your name. It's been
Oh.
a long time since we spoke, but a causetuber on YouTube, that when I was talking about wanting to do a historically accurate, specifically strictly historically accurate kit, she's like, "Well, historically accurate or historically adequate?" And I'm like, "Historically accurate, but anything I can't find adequate." But I love that phrase. So yeah, historically adequate, where we can't be accurate. Um, and the game's title will be, to give you kind of an idea of the story, is very similar to how our reenactment scenarios go. How we like the Battle of Eddington, Battle of Cressy,
Hmm.
Battle of Glenmama, which had nothing to do with Glen's mama. But moving forward, uh, called the Battle of Blood Eagle
Hmm.
will be the name of the first game for the channel, which obviously is going to tell you it's set in the Iron Age, specifically set in the Viking era. Think of 9th to 10th century. Um, and it's going to be specifically not open world, although I love open world games. Not an MMO because I don't feel like scamming people. Uh,
Lol.
and I would love a nice historically accurate MMO, but I do not have the skill to do that. I do not have the team to do that. So it's a dream, but yeah,
It's good to dream.
we're all still looking for it. But anywho, um, but it will be open world design and level design. Think so. My inspiration going into this game is think Jedi Fallen Order. Think like Tomb Raider. Think of the beautiful environments of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but not the open worldiness.
I mean, okay, so
But
wait, this
maybe
is
this
talking about like what this game what you want this game to
what this
be.
game is going to become. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to have elements of like Final Fantasy X.
Okay, but so
Uh,
it's gonna be for more of a first person RPG kind of thing,
no.
or just like an
Um,
RPG.
no.
No.
Actually, think more like Jedi Fallen Order, where we're going to go for
Okay, so
something
it's
that
it's
is action adventure,
okay. Actually, okay.
but with RPG elements. And what I mean by that, specifically what I'm thinking of, and maybe it is more of an RPG, I don't know. It's still currently in script phase. I will start putting devlogs on the
Hmm.
channel as I go along, but I will never reveal the script until the game release. But um, so I'm thinking that right now it's 4 characters, right? 4 playable characters. You have someone that's going to represent each sort of culture that a
Cool, cool.
Viking would come into contact with. Um, and then we'll delve into that obviously with story and character stuff. But you can play as each character. You don't have. There's some points where you'll have to be one person or the other, but I want it to be like you can pick and choose, right? Like this is say, what is a similar game, um, where you can walk the map as whatever, like Chrono Cross. There's like way too many characters in that game, but you can main a character. Um, and oh, what is it? I'm thinking of like Knights of the Old Republic, where you mm, obviously the main character is Revan, right? But you can be whatever.
I think so. I don't. I only
You
know
can,
KOTOR 2.
yeah, no, same thing. So the Exile, Kreia or Darth Treya, Darth whatever.
It's
Um,
Kreia. It's Kreia.
yeah. So where you have a party, you build up your party, but you can main a character. Um, but it's the main point of this game is going to tell a beautiful story through the means of a historical setting and the gameplay. I want to focus very specifically on. I don't know if we can do historically accurate combat because I don't know what we have of the Iron Age for combat, right? Like there's fact books, but those fact books I think go from like they're set in Germany and they're like from 14th to what, like 17th century. We've got some
Wait,
of them here on the Discord.
wait.
Um,
Which one?
fact books, like kind of the combat books we look
Yeah,
at
yeah,
for
yeah.
our
I know. Oh, yeah.
reenactment.
That. Yeah.
I know everyone loves them, but they're not Iron Age, so I don't know. But I want something that feels real in terms of combat. I want you to be immersed in actual medieval combat. I want you to be immersed in using a staff, using a dagger, using a bow, a sword, a pole arm. Uh, I want you to feel like you are actually in a shield wall, like you are actually in a medieval war.
Man, that'd
Uh,
be a
the,
fun VR game, wouldn't it?
that
Viking
is also
combat.
the point. That is also the point. Uh, if we can raise the money, I am going to add the VR element because I want you to not just in first person. Obviously, I want you're going to have the choice of third and first person because I hate first person view games. I prefer third person.
I
Um,
can see that.
but it's going to culminate to the final battle which obviously Battle of Blood Eagle is going to be a Viking Saxon battle, but also previously it was called Project Shield Wall. So I'm going to put you in a massive shield wall battle at the front lines of a shield wall where you need to decide what is your formation, where are you going to be in the shield wall based on the character you're maining, and I want you to feel what it's like to be in a shield wall on the side of whatever your character is, but literally from the moment you're with your army, your soldiers, your characters together behind the shield, prepping for battle, you know, pumping each other up. You see across the massive open battlefield, uh, that's what I mentioned, open level design. There will be some things that are tight, claustrophobic, if it needs to be. Some things that'll be open, like cities or fields for battle. Um, I want you to march forward. I want you to feel the fear and the tension of getting into this battle that you don't know what's going to happen as pole arms are coming through, as swords are coming in, axes, people are falling, so you have to push forward another person to take their place. I want you to literally be immersed in a shield wall battle,
Wild.
as well as other, legit medieval battles from single combat to open battles, right? But I want the focus of this to be story, but the gameplay to be immersed in the idea of what these people live in, right? From their various perspectives. So that's my idea. That's my goal. If you feel like you're immersed in the combat, I've done my job, immersed in the environment, which we'll have to do, I think, from the ground up, because I don't know, but if you look at a lot of the assets that I've seen for Unreal Engine 4 and 5, they're kind of
Mhm.
Tudor era. So we'll have to for some things I think we'll have to go ground up and actually create for the game. And every asset that I create and scan in will be, with exception of us. I'm not gonna put our models out into the world, but everything I make for the game in terms of assets will be released for free via our Discord. So if you want to make a Viking game, but there's no assets for the Iron Age, uh, they'll be in our Discord as I create them. Um,
Neat.
so yeah, do you have any questions in regards to that?
No, I'm coming from a place where I really can't do any sort of any. I don't have any way to really help unless I start learning game making.
Or like, well, in terms of like questions as a gamer,
So so this is going to be a third person action game, kind of,
third to first person. Yep, I'll let you
and
choose.
like so it'd be close to if it sounds like it'd be close to a Zelda game.
I've never played Zelda.
What,
Never played Zelda,
my man?
and at this point, I'm afraid to.
I mean, I understand it, but they're really good games.
I don't know why. You know me, I'm very slow to come around to things.
That's true.
Um,
Um,
so I might play Breath of the Wild 2 when it comes out, but
if you'd like, I can ask around and see if anybody can recommend a good Breath of the Wild player, so you can kind of get a vibe for it.
mm, um, sorry.
Because
My cat is
this
coming in and
sounds
out.
like the kind of thing I think you're going for. Honestly,
Yeah,
at least the game style, not quite the story too much, but at least the gameplay.
my thoughts, because I've never played Zelda, would be like mirroring Fallen. I was about to say Fallen Kingdom, Jedi Fallen Order with, say, Knights of the Old Republic. Um,
I'll have to take your word on it because I don't know.
Well, think of Knights of the Old Republic. You're going from planet to planet, right? You have a very specific map, a very specific set of things you can do on that map.
Hmm.
You're open to do them, but you are story based. You are set in a story. The first game, you have to go planet to planet, and you cannot, unfortunately, you cannot divulge, right? You can't go back to Tatooine. And
Mhm, mhm.
2, you can go back to Tatooine. You could do niche things. But you have that open level design where you can explore Tatooine in bits and pieces or openly. Um, but it is story driven, very specifically story driven game. In Fallen Order, it's a little bit more tight, more focused. So you have a set things of that you can do on a planet, but it's not open world. It's not more open like Knights of the Old Republic, KOTOR 2. It's this is your set level. This is the level design, and the story plays out throughout the course of the level, like a Tomb Raider. Um, so think having that sort of claustrophobia to some extent that guides you down
Mm.
the story,
Oh, okay, okay, I get it, I get what you're
but
saying.
yet but yet there will be moments where you can breathe and you can just explore the world presented to you. You can explore this, you know, the Saxon village or this Scandinavian village
Cool, cool.
or the open world battles, the landscapes for the battles and stuff like that. I want you to be able to kind of understand what the world was like back then, but that's not the focus of the game.
Wild. Man, the way you're describing this.
I hope. I mean, I don't want it to feel like it's more than what we can do. It's definitely a small scope, a very focused game, very small scope. I'm hoping to do like a 6 to 10 hour story, and then
Mhm,
obviously
mhm.
you'll have like side quests and stuff. But this is very specifically story driven game. The whole concept is a story, so you're on that linear path of developing the story,
Mm.
but you do have those
Now,
moments to breathe.
I think an important question you need to ask yourself at this point is like, what are you more willing to give up to make this game happen? Would you be willing to give up wanting to do that fighting system to at least tell the story, or is that a no go? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think that's something that I've been thinking about as well. It's like, do I want to make an RPG? Do I want to make a specifically action adventure? To what extent do you want the RPG element? So I'm thinking, well, do I want this skill based? Like, and of course we didn't even mention it, but Skyrim, or do you want this to just be a game where you can fight and just doesn't matter, like weapon based or something like that, where you're not building up a skill, you're just fighting, and depending on how good you are as a player is how good you are at the fighting, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Um, Obviously, I'm very big into customization, so you're going to be able to fully customize the characters,
Okay, okay.
their armor, their clothing, the colors they're wearing, whatever. Think Mortal Kombat. Think uh, Jedi Fallen Order in that respect. So, but I don't like the idea of gear pieces having like bonuses to them. I don't like people.
Oh, kind of like if you wear all these pieces for this for this set, you get a set bonus.
Yeah, I don't like the idea that the only way you can enjoy the game is having like the master class gear and the ninja bonus plus prime max sword. I want you to wield whatever sword you think looks cool, whatever armor you think looks cool that is customized to your liking, and that works, right? So it doesn't have an effect on gameplay. It's just something you love looking at.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so that sort of element of RPG is you can customize your character.
I think you'd enjoy Sea of Thieves. I think you'd enjoy if you could do like a medieval style game in the vein of Sea of Thieves, because the way they work it is that a lot of stuff is all of their stuff is pretty much just cosmetic. There's nothing that really gives you a bonus except for,
Exactly.
oh man.
Now, but then I thought, well, what? So skills, right? So I thought, well, in real life, the more we do something, the more skilled we get at it.
Hmm.
So I can understand having a skill based system. The more you do something, the more you get better at it. But I don't want it to be like bonuses, right? I
Yeah.
want you to play the game start to finish and enjoy it as is. The same reason there's never going to be any microtransactions. Any DLC we do, anything we add to the game is going to be that's the package. I hate this microtransaction world we live in, this
Yep.
nickel and dime culture. So I miss when you bought a game and that was the game. And if it was DLC, the DLC was free because you already bought the game.
Mhm. Mhm.
But anywho, um, so I'm like, all right, so what if, like Mortal Kombat, you get better by learning to do the combos and doing the special moves and stuff and getting better at those? So what if the more you do something, the more techniques you learn with it? If you are an archer.
I think I kinda get it.
Yeah.
Anyways, do you wanna kinda cut it off here? I think we've been
Sure,
a little over an
sure.
hour.
There will be more discussion and more devlogs
Oh, sure, there's
uh,
lots more medieval games
Q&As
to talk about.
uh, for the Battle of Blood Eagle, as well as other games and stuff on the channel, from Let's Plays to that, blah, blah, blah. But if anybody listening has a question or something they want to see in it, I am currently at the pre-stage, so drop it down below. Uh, I will also put in for this video our new Ko-fi, or coffee, however you pronounce it, Kofi. You can help us develop the game, but also the channel through our
Mhm.
Ko-fi. I will not do a Patreon. It'll just be Kofi, and it's just a $5 tier if you want to support us. You're not obligated to, but go to the Kofi. Um, Beyond that, is there anything else you want to add as we close out?
Um, no, just basically, I'm excited because I'm gonna be going to MetroCon.
There you go.
If anybody's actually, I know most of the fair folks are gonna be at MetroCon too. I'm excited to see everybody
I'm
and
gonna
see their
try to
great
go to King
costumes.
Richard's. I'm gonna try to go to King Richard's Festival.
Cool jazz, cool jazz. But and I'm just having a good time, and it's 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 gonna be a fun rest of the summer. I'm hoping.
Doing your thing, doing your thing.
Yeah.
But
Once
yeah,
I get my once after the convention, I'm going to be hopefully getting involved with the local sword museum that
ooh,
does fighting classes.
there you go. There you go. And of course,
Yeah.
you're obviously welcome to be involved in anything with the channel, from the filming to
Of
say voice
course.
acting. Maybe I'll visit you guys and scan you into the game. Uh, but yeah, no, that's pretty much it for the Talk Past podcast episode today on general games, and then announcing the Battle of Blood Eagle action adventure. Of course, next time we have such an array of topics we need to delve into,
Mhm.
but
So
we'll
there'll
talk about
definitely
that.
be more game talks because there's a lot.
Oh yeah, and of course also, how do we also forget of we won't delve into it, but uh, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yes,
Um,
we do have to talk about that, don't we?
to me at
Sorry.
least, to me at least has a Viking aesthetic to it, so I'd love to get into that. Maybe that'll be the next one. But anywho, that is it for the August episode of the Duck Pest podcast. Of course, previous was our July discussion on whatever we discussed. It's already been a month, but
Ibaro.
yes, he better. Anywho, bibbida bop, bobbida boo. That's it for me and you.
Farewell. Thank you for listening. Have a lovely time.